Just remember.
Dollar per day. $1 is 1,500. Look, 1,500. Okay, that's a lot of money for many people in Nigeria. $10 won't buy you lunch anywhere in the US. Hardly. You need at least $20. $20 times, so that's 30,000.
Sometimes you might get an $7 for your child to get breakfast.
Indeed, for a child,
sandwich and a cup of coffee. For a $4, $5.
Is that even food? But I'll tell you what you can do with $5. $5, that's 7,500. If you're not going to eat at the Hilton or some eyebrow place, there's a lot you can do. In Guanipa, there's people that sell, just like in Port Harcourt, Boli and fish on the roadside. There you eat for 1,500. If you know where you're coming from, you say you're on minimum wage. If you're on minimum wage, that's you can't be talking minimum wage at the same time you're talking of eating in
Dr. Fasua,
very important
this government that you work for.
Basically, what Tope is saying is that Nigerian workers live a better life than their US counterparts. In other words, that Nigeria is a better place than the US. He can't be serious. He can't seriously be trying to convince Nigerians that $10 cannot buy a meal in the US. He must know that many Nigerians living in the US watch YouTube on a daily basis. So all these politically motivated narratives, they help no one. It can't return the value of the Naira. They can't, after devaluing the Naira by more than 200%, and come back and start spreading all these false narratives just to try and convince Nigerians that the devaluation is better. In fact, this borders on gaslighting. Yes, why do they make these types of comparisons without taking into account purchasing power, minimum wage, and how long it takes a US worker to earn $10, and how long it takes a Nigerian worker to earn the equivalent of $10, which is about 15,000 Naira. In fact, it should be comparing 10 to 10. It's a unit of their currency. If $10 can't buy a meal in the US, of course it does. How about 10 Naira? How many meals can it buy in Nigeria? Yes, that's what it should be comparing. Now, let's even take it on the exchange rate. How long does it take a US worker to earn $10? That's less than an hour, obviously, in many states. They don't have a uniform minimum wage in the US. It varies state by state, but the lowest of low still earns above $10 per hour. In Nigeria, how long does it take an average worker to earn the equivalent of $10, which is 15,000 Naira? That's one day job for the average Joe. Yes, a laborer in a construction site, a mason, bricklayer, all those types of jobs. They earn less than $10 in a day, from dawn till dusk. In most construction sites, they start out at about 7 a.m. or even earlier and close around 5 p.m. or maybe 6 p.m. Depending on the city in Nigeria, they earn from maybe around 8,000, 10,000 per day. So you can imagine the difference. In the US, a worker earns $10 in less than an hour, while in Nigeria, if you negotiate better, you can pay a laborer in a construction site 15,000 Naira for 2 days. Of course, it depends on the city. Tope is also of the opinion that for Nigerians to overcome the current hardship in the land, they must encourage their employers to pay them higher wages. Is that how it works? These people want to eat their cake and have it. There's a reason Nigerians are demanding for higher wages today. It's the result of the policy of this administration. If they didn't devalue the Naira or increase petrol price, maybe Nigerians wouldn't even be demanding it for now. Yes. As a matter of fact, the new minimum wage of 70,000 Naira actually has less value compared to the old minimum wage. Yes, because the Naira has been devalued. The worth of 30,000 Naira is actually higher than the 70,000 Naira of today. That is the reality. You can see the value of minimum wage in dollars going back more than 20 years ago. If they didn't devalue the Naira, which in effect affected all the dependencies, and also increased the petrol price at the same time, of course, it affected all the dependencies, transportation, even fueling your generator at work or at home. It all affected the cost of services, cost of transportation, many things. So, which effectively led to massive inflation. How do you solve it? You don't solve it by paying people higher wages. No. You must solve inflation that led to the demand for higher wages in the first place. And before you can solve the inflation, you must solve the issues that caused the inflation in the first place. This takes us back to before Tinubu came to power. It wasn't as if inflation didn't exist at the time, but it made the situation worse. Now they are gaslighting Nigerians, saying employers should increase the salaries of their workers. How many businesses have shut down since Tinubu came to power? We have lost count of many multinationals and local companies that have shut down. Now they are saying that a business that is trying to survive, maybe they employ about 10 people, they are trying hard to be profitable, and he's saying that the business must pay people higher wages. It doesn't make any sense. And it's not only businesses that are closing shop in Nigeria. Nigerians are also running away from their country. They are migrating en masse to Western countries, and immediately they settle down in these Western countries, they start sending money home. They might start buying land, buying property, or building their own home, something they couldn't do while in Nigeria. Yes, many people don't talk about this enough. The reason they are able to send money back home to embark on any construction project is not just because of the exchange rate that favors the dollar, pounds, euros, or any other currency in the country they are living in. It is also because of the fact that there is lower cost of living in these countries compared to Nigeria. Yes, this is the reason they are able to save money in the first place. Many have this impression that in most Western countries where they have a high standard of living, that they also have a high cost of living. No, that's not always the case. In fact, the reverse is the case. In Nigeria, the high cost of living is actually worse than in most Western countries. You can ask Nigerians who travel back home on holiday, maybe during Christmas or Easter. You can see the way they complain every time they spend. In fact, most of them cut their holidays short and run back before their money will finish. Yes. So you can't compare the cost of food or general cost of living across different countries without factoring in purchasing power. If you live in a country where the minimum wage is $1,000 per month, equivalent of $1,000 in Nigeria is 1.5 million naira. Someone who earns 1.5 million naira in Nigeria, you cannot compare his standard of living to that person that is earning $1,000 in a foreign country. This is simply because infrastructure doesn't exist in Nigeria. Social services also don't exist. You have to be a mini local government in order to exist. In order to enjoy the standard of living your counterparts in foreign countries take for granted, you have to drill your own borehole in order to have water. You have to also provide your own electricity, whether by buying petrol every day to power your generator or by going solar, which is actually very capital intensive. And we are not talking about all the other issues you will face living in a country where nothing works. So you see, it's not all about saying, so thing costs $10. The equivalent in Nigeria, you can buy more than 10 of them. No, it doesn't work that way. Also, people must remember that there is no rich man in a poor country. No matter the kind of money you have, even if you are a dollar billionaire, you can never run away from happenings in this country. Yes, even if you have 100 bodyguards comprising of military men, police, SSS, name them, you cannot still run away from happenings in this country. This is why many privileged Nigerians have holiday homes abroad where their families live. This is an acceptance that Nigeria is not conducive. So is it not better to build a country that works for everyone, to pull millions out of poverty in Nigeria, to push millions into the middle class so that many people will become prosperous? The more we are prosperous in Nigeria, the more the economy will boom, the more it's better for everyone. If the country is working for everyone, we won't have political appointees lying blatantly on national television, calling black white just because they want to please their boss, just because they are afraid of losing their jobs. If the country is working for everyone, no one should last more than a few days before getting another job. In most credit economies, they do not bother about what to eat. They have passed that stage because they have credit cards. Unless that person remains unemployed for more than 3 months, maybe we start worrying about what to eat. But under normal circumstances, they've passed that stage. They only talk about dreams, how to achieve the unthinkable. But here, we are still at that material level, looking at what we can get that covers our selfish interest instead of building on the national interest, what will make everyone better off. Thanks for watching.